What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Stand Tall. It's August 23rd, and we are on the 9 situations. And today we are actually going to follow up on all of them. I believe we're going all the way up to verse 10. And each one of these is going to go into the 9 different varieties of ground. Verse 2 says, when a chieftain is fighting in his own territory, it is dispersive ground. Dispersive ground, I think from briefly reading the translated version, means easily traversable ground. When he has penetrated into hostile territory, but to no great distance, it is facile ground. Verse 4, ground, the possession of which imports great advantage to either side, is contentious ground. So this is like coveted ground. Ground 5, ground on which each side has liberty of movement is open ground. Ground wires, ground rods, grounding, all of that has been on mine lately for my other job. Ground on which each side has liberty of movement is open ground. 6, ground which forms the key to 3 contiguous states, so that he who occupies it first has most of the empire at his command, is a ground of intersecting highways. 7, when an army has penetrated into, this is in bold, the heart of a hostile country, now it's not bold, leaving a number of fortified cities in its rear, it is serious ground. Okay, so it's serious. Yeah, it's serious when you're behind enemy lines. 8, mountain forest, rugged steeps, marshes, and fens, all country that is hard to traverse, this is difficult ground. 9 says, ground which is reached through narrow gorges, and from which we can only retire by tortuous paths, so that a small number of the enemy would suffice to crush a large body of our men. This is hemmed-in ground. And finally, number 9, verse 10, ground on which we can only be saved from destruction by fighting without delay is desperate ground. Let's gain a little bit more insight by going over to the other translation. And I like it. This is going to take a little bit longer because we've got a lot of reflections, but I think it's really worth it. They're a little different. The kinds of grounds are just a little bit different. So when you enter others' land, but not deeply, this is called light ground. Cao says this means the soldiers can all get back easily. Dumu says when an army goes forth and crosses a border, it should burn its boats and bridges to show the populace it has no intention of going back. Master Sun says land that would be advantageous to you if you got it, and to opponents if they got it, is called ground of contention. Cao says ground from which a few would overcome many, the weak would strike the powerful. Dumu says a ground of inevitable contention is any natural barricade or strategic pass. Again, coveted ground, Land where you and others can come and go is called a trafficked ground. Zhang Yu says, if there are many roads in the area and there is free travel that cannot be cut off, this is what is called a trafficked ground. Master Sun says, land that is surrounded on 3 sides by competitors and would give the first to get its access to all the people on the continent is called intersecting ground. Ho Yongqi says, intersecting ground means the intersections of main arteries linking together numerous highway systems, water, roads, etc. First occupy this ground, and the people will have to go with you. So if you get it, you are secure. If you lose it, you are in peril. Master Sun says, when you enter deeply into others' land, past many cities and towns, this is called heavy ground, serious ground. Cao says, this is ground from which it is hard to return. Master Sun says, when you traverse mountain forest, steep defiles, marshes, or any route difficult to travel, this is called bad ground. Ho Yangqi says, bad ground is land that lacks stability and is unsuitable for building fortifications and trenches. It is best to leave such terrain as quickly as possible. It's okay to cut and run, okay? It's okay to quit if you're in a bad situation. It's okay to get out. Don't be so stubborn. You know what I mean? Master Sun says, when the way in is narrow and the way out is circuitous, so a small enemy force can strike you, even though your numbers are greater, this is called surrounded ground. Mei Yaochen says, if you are capable of extraordinary adaptation, you can travel this ground. Zheng Yu says, on ground that is hemmed in front and walled off behind, a single defender can hold off 1,000 men. So on such good ground, you win by ambush. Think of the movie 300. Master Sun says, when you will survive if you fight quickly and perish if you do not. This is called dying ground. So this was, I think, the last one. Yep, the last one. Jin Hao says, people on dying ground are, as it were, sitting in a leaking boat, lying in a burning house. Mei Yao Chen says, when you cannot press forward, cannot retreat backward, and cannot run to the sides, you have no choice but to fight right away. And a lot of our philosophy as Stoics has to do with fighting what's in front of us, the obstacle in front of us, and finding a way out. And so we can use Stoicism and our understanding of it, and as we move through life, to, of course, avoid as many obstacles as possible because we've either dealt with them before or we've learned from the mistakes of others, etc. So August 23rd, on the Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselman. Please go buy a copy from a brick and mortar bookstore. August 23rd. It's in your self-interest. A reflection from Seneca. Therefore explain why a wise person shouldn't get drunk, not with words, but by the facts of its ugliness and offensiveness. It's most easy to prove that so-called pleasures, when they go beyond proper measure, are but punishments. I'm so happy that I quit drinking as much as I did. That's all I'll say on that matter. And getting drunk can mean many things, whether it's reading too many books, watching too much Netflix, playing too many video games, doing too much of anything that you enjoy, whether it be gambling, watching TV, playing video games, or reading books. Even can be, you can do too much of it. There is such thing, and then they're not pleasurable anymore, and they end up becoming what's caging you in and holding you back, and your anchor. All right, so let's see what the men themselves say. Is there a less effective technique to persuading people to do something than haranguing them? Is there anything that turns people off more than abstract notions? That's why the Stoics don't say, stop doing this, it's a sin. Instead, they say, don't do this because it will make you miserable. They don't say pleasure isn't pleasurable. They say endless pleasure becomes its own form of punishment. Their methods of persuasion hew in the line the 48 laws of power, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. What's in it for me? Y-I-F-M. We F-M. If you find yourself, what's in it for me? W-I-I-F-M. If you always think about what's in it for the client and how it best benefits them, yada, yada, yada. Okay. If you find yourself trying to persuade someone to change or do something differently, remember what an effective lever self-interest is. It's not that this or that is bad, is that it is in their best interest to do it a different way, and show them. Don't moralize. And what happens when you apply this way of thinking to your own behavior? And that is the question they leave off with. What do you think? How has this thinking changed your own behavior? I have definitely, been thankful of both sides of it. Of seeing the benefit of stopping a negative behavior, and of course perpetuating a positive behavior from whether that's eating good, certain healthy foods, going to the gym, or at least staying physically active in some form or another. There's always good that can be gleaned, and that's what I'm thankful for. So while y'all keep standing tall, make sure to like and subscribe and drop comments below what you're thankful for when you are establishing this behavior or have established this behavior.